Welcome to Lab Results. We are live on Wednesday, the 3rd of November. Welcome, everybody. Glad to have you tonight. Apologize, we were running a little bit behind tonight. We had some technical difficulties, but our wizard engineer, Mark Lawson, got us through everything, and we are back live now and ready to go. We're going to have a great topic tonight. We're talking about careers in the medical industry, in the medical profession. So have a great guest tonight that's going to share his background and what he's done to get to where he's at. But before we do that, a little bit background on Black Man Lab. Black Man Lab was started roughly 4 years ago by one of the founders, Mauli Davis, and three other men who got together to just have conversations with their sons. Because we know quite often as fathers with sons, our sons get to a certain age and they just tune us out, but they'll listen to somebody else. They'll listen to an uncle, a godfather, a close friend. And that person might say the exact same thing we're saying, but they'll listen to them versus us as fathers. I don't know why that's the case. I probably did it with my dad as well. But we meet every Monday at the Andrew and Walter Young YMCA. We have a panel discussion. We have experts from various walks of life. Some of it's professional driven, some of it is personal development driven. And we have a panel of experts and they share. They just download all the information of whatever got them to their level of success with our audience. Prior to the pandemic, we were up to 250 Black men in the room every week. And it was a powerful thing. Right now we're working our way back up to that because we just now started meeting back live. But in the in-between, we had this virtual space that we were in, and we decided to keep that. And that allowed us to have great guests from all over the country on to talk about whatever got them to where they are today. So that's what Lab Results is. We always talk about from Lab Results, we talk about whatever we talked about on Monday. So again, we're talking about the medical profession tonight, and I have a great guest. Before I bring my guest on, one of the things that we do every week is that we make sure we honor those who came before us, those people whose shoulders we stand on, those people who will be really happy about us being in this space, us sharing and doing the work for our people. In the areas where I grew up at, and my brother who's going to be on here as a guest tonight, where we grew up at in Chicago, a lot of times they call it pouring out a little liquor, but that's a form of libation. What that means is we're pouring back into the earth to honor those that have gone on to be with that cloud of witnesses. So what we do here at Lab Results is very simple as it relates to honoring our ancestors. We just give one name for the night. We just allow one name and we send it up to the heavens to say, hey, we acknowledge you. Thank you for all that you did for us. So I'm going to ask my guest before I actually introduce him to just join me and give a shout to an ancestor. And again, the ancestor, we just want to bring that person into this space to acknowledge what we've done and are doing currently. So I'm going to ask Camino, if you come on with me real quick, and on three, we're just going to shout an ancestor name, just somebody that's meaningful to you, that will be proud of you being in this space. And then at the end of that, we just say Ashe. So on three, and with a fist in the air, on three, 1, 2, 3, Sylvester Williams. Ashe.
Ashe.
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you, brother.
Oh,
we can hear you.
All right.
So without further, man, I'm going to bring you in. This is my brother from Chicago. We are longtime friends, and somebody who I'm really proud of the work he's done. This is my brother, Camino Bell, Dr. Camino Bell. Camino, come on, man.
How you doing, fellas? Glad to be here.
Man, glad to have you. So what I want to do is we're going to start the conversation, Camino, just about your background. Growing up in Chicago, where you grew up, school, family. Talk about everything that makes Camino Bell Camino.
So, okay. Well, and Marty, you may not know this, but I'm originally my first few years from Seattle, Washington. I was born in Spokane, and then up till 5 or 6, I was living in Seattle, Washington with my mother and father. Right then, about 5, they got divorced. My mom moved to Chicago, just she and I, and started on the north side for a year and then moved to the south side after getting familiar with Chicago. So I'm a transplant, but my formative years obviously were in Chicago. I consider myself a Chicagoan, and so we kind of started there. I grew up in I want to say a wonderful neighborhood in Hyde Park, where being from a single family household wasn't really wasn't abnormal. I grew up in this housing complex, Harper Square. We had a lot of single mothers raising their Black boys. There was security there. It was, a time when you could stay out even after the lights came on, and we just cared for each other in there. A great group of friends that we still have to this day, as you know. One of our closest friends, Richard Smith, the principal back in Chicago, I've known since I moved to that area, and that would be first, second grade. So from there, I started I was in various public schools, but one thing my mother very strict about me getting my studies done, but a love of sports, basketball as a young kid, tackled a man with the football out in the playground during school. Sure. All those things were held. My mother was smart. She made that a carrot, right? I couldn't do any of that stuff unless homework was done. Grades
that was done. Most of us, right? That was the rule. You didn't get to do any of those things. You hadn't handled your business.
Right. And so I didn't, I thought it was a nuisance, but I had to get that done if I wanted to do the other things. And us being so competitive, I knew I needed to get out there and play and practice so I could be one of the better guys in the neighborhood to just try and compete. So, so by happenstance or by my mother's wisdom, I ended up, doing well, making sure I did well in the early years of school, right? But, fast forward, when I look back, it was those things that sports that brought me to my interest in medicine, right? So it really started out because I was so competitive. I was trying to figure out how I could become a better athlete, to compete with my friends and in school. So my first thoughts were, man, I got to learn how the body gets better, bigger, faster, stronger. And that really just turned my interest to like science and biology. Right? So this was like 8th grade, 9th grade. And ironically, Marty, you understand this, there was a love for basketball, right? And so I played grammar school basketball at Lewisworth, right, which had a pretty good grammar school basketball team. And I had run into some incidents. I got hit by a car. I was out for half a school year, so I couldn't get play on the team for a year, this, that, and the other. And so by the time I got to high school, I was about to go to high school, I was like, man, what school do I want to go to? Because I want to play ball, right? So all these other guys on my team, my grammar school, I was like, I can't go to their school because I ain't going to get to start. I need to go to a school. I need to try and get to a school where I can start, right?
Yep.
My mom she had no clue about this, right? So here I am. I got into Kentwood, one of the neighborhood school, which is a pretty good school, right? And then, but I heard about this school, and I went and took this test because my homeroom teacher just gave me this slip to go take a test to get into some other schools. I took this test, and I got into the school Whitney Young, right? And so the word was that Whitney Young was the nerd school.
Right.
And so I was like, yeah, I ain't going to Kenwood. I know all the cats that started at Kenwood were ahead of me in my own grammar school, right?
Sure.
So I was like, go to Whitney Young because I could probably get in there and play right away, right?
Right.
So it happened to be a magnet school. And so all the smart kids were going there, and I figured, yeah, I'm good, right? So I got there, and because I had gone to visit my dad a couple times in Seattle, when I got there, he would put me in Pop Warner football. And I would only play for like 4 or 5 weeks. I only spent a few weeks there during the summer. So as soon as I got into Whitney Young, folks were like, play football. I was like, well, I probably could, I could probably do well in that because there's not a lot of people that play football in Chicago before high school.
Right.
I had some experience. So I got there and started playing football before the basketball season. I broke both my fingers on my hand. I ended up not playing my freshman year at Whitney Young. Even getting to try out, right? So that actually ended up working out well because it was adjustment. It was very competitive high school. And so I didn't play my first year, got my studies in order. I probably wasn't going to play anyway because my mom said I was goofing off the first 3 months of high school, and I had to adjust. There was a bunch of pretty girls there, so my
your radar was way off.
My head was all over the place, right? like all of us, right?
Sure. Hey, I used to come up to Whitney Young's just for that reason. So
Exactly.
It wasn't because I wanted to see the likes of you.
And so again, right there, the school was competitive, right? And my mom still had the same routine, same rules. No grades, no play, right? But at this time, also, my mom had gotten remarried. And this also was a big formative change for me. So before it was just me and my mom, right? And I would run around with some of the kids, in the streets and goof around. My mom got remarried and she got married to a dentist, right? And so, look, it's like I felt it was like the Jeffersons. When my mom got remarried, we moved to a mid-rise, 4-bedroom condo downtown, right? And my man had a Mercedes. And I was like, right?
He was like, we won.
I was like, Mom's came up. We rich. Right? And I was, and so, but even in that same respect, it was like a dichotomy. It showed me, like when I was just me and my mom, you could see very, very easily what would happen if you made the wrong choices. I mean, we were paid not paycheck to paycheck, but close, right? So you knew what was the wrong side of the tracks and and some of my friends ended up that way, right? But when she got remarried, it showed me what you could be if you focused, right? Because I remember distinctly, I was like, I asked him, I'm 13 years old, new stepfather. I was like, so how'd you get to this spot? Right? I could distinctly ask him. And he was like, flat out, I studied. And when I got to, he ran track in college too. So it wasn't like he couldn't do both. He was like, I studied and I concentrated on my sports. He said, I like biology. And that's what he studied in college. And so right then I was like, I can go one of two ways, right? I can basically goof off. Then, I would not have what we have now. This is what I want. And so, it really kind of crystallized, some of the two things I knew I had, what my mom had been saying, right? Study. So you could do these other things. And then it was really the peer pressure of performing in sports and the mom's pressure of performing in school. And then my stepfather seeing what would happen.
Seeing the results of it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And cats like you Richie, you know, being intense about playing ball.
Sure.
It was easy to figure out what am I going to do my off time. I'm going to work on my game, work on this.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, what got me focused to football was my junior year. I finally got to play with Jeff, Adrian Dion. I finally moved varsity. Walt Frazier had graduated.
Yep.
Gave me his number. We started playing summer league. My first summer league game, or one of my first summer league games, I don't know how this happened, but I started shooting. I was hitting everything. I remember Jeff and them was like, keep shooting, keep shooting. I must have scored 20 against Robeson, right? Like with Johnny Miller, right?
Yeah.
So I quit football. I was like, I'm done, right? This was like within 1 week. I'm done. I'm getting run. I'm playing, right? The next weekend, we played YVI, right? I'm out at YVI. They put me in the starting lineup with Walt Bond. We play against Marcus Liberty, Tim Hardaway, Nick Anderson, right? It was their team.
Changed your mind.
Yo, I got dunked on like the first three times down, I got dunked on.
You had a mind adjustment after that.
And I looked and I said, yo, if I quit studying and I never went to school, there's no way I could work hard enough to get game like that.
Sure.
And so I was done. I went to football. The rest is history with football. I ended up playing well, kept studying, didn't really become outstanding athlete till my senior year of high school when another guy got hurt. And so my focus was always biology, man. You know, I ended up walking on at Illinois because I was a late bloomer. So I went to Illinois, you know, knowing that football wasn't my end all. And so I went in as a walk-on. So my grades and focusing on school was still there because, you know, who do I know that ended up getting drafted to the NFL at that time? We get drafted and playing football. I didn't know nobody.
Right.
I knew Russ got to Miami.
Yeah.
And that was really one of the inspirations to make me think I could play college football. So I did that. And again, it was sports. I got to Illinois and saw that there was a big sports medicine program there that, you know, again, reinforced, you know, this is a path. I was doing sports and studying and ended up saying, yeah, I'm going to do medicine.
You know, it's interesting how, and we talk about this at Black Man Lab all the time, right? Our young folks right now have a propensity to think about, when they think about having a successful career or life, right? They think about it from, a lot of times, from an entertainment standpoint, right? Whether it's sports or, you know, being on a mic, doing something like that. That's because that's what they see most of the time, right? And that happens that way because I think what you had, right, was you had your mom giving you a certain picture. You had your own competitive drive. Of course, you love sports. So you had that picture, like, well, in order for me to do this, I do what she says, right? And then you had somebody who actually modeled the whole thing together, right? So your stepfather, who did all that, he had the academic background and he had sports, and then on top of that, became a highly successful dentist. As you said, rich, and so you know that picture, it was shaped for you, and what we do in the lab is that we try to shape that picture for our young folks too, because so often it's not there, you know. So
well, I totally agree, brother. If it weren't for the crystallization from my stepfather, I'd be running circles and hope. You see, it's been done, and that's the difference between us as Black people. The generations behind, I keep saying we generations behind, right? These white folks have their families, their fathers, their grandfathers.
It's in the family.
It's expected. Yeah. They do this shit and it's expected. Even if they mess up, their families, pull them through whatever 5 years addiction that their son has done, and then put them in place, right?
Yeah.
We are at the point where our generation above us, if they did it, they were exceptions. They were exceptions to the rule. And we have to find them to make it to normalize it for us.
Right. And that's that wicked paradigm that we're in, is that we have like folks like, you and I and a lot of our peers, the vast majority of our peers are doing okay. Right. And, some of us have this picture where it's like, okay, what can I give back? And we try. Right. But then a lot of us, and actually I'll speak to myself. I was guilty of this early on in my early, career, where I was very successful. You just start getting your own little silo, right? You just say, I got to take care of me and mine. And then that's it, right? And even at that, even when you're saying I take care of me and mine, you're not necessarily handing something down to yours, other than maybe some values and things of that nature, but not from the standpoint of, hey, I'm telling you exactly what I do in work on a day-to-day basis that makes me successful, and here's what you can do to do the same thing. Because we're so caught up in the kind of the wickedness of, we got to protect our own ass. We have to do this work, and we have to, it's a constant weight on us. So,
you serving two masters.
Yeah.
Right? You want to maintain your successfulness, so there are certain things that you have to do, and it takes up quite a bit of your time, when we as a people should be sharing that with those of us that need that mentorship and scholarship. And I appreciate the venue that you've given me here, because it's not that often that myself, I don't have time to make my own venue. I don't have time to, here and there I do some community service. But should I be doing more? Of course. Should my colleagues be doing more? As much as we can, because we are out here to promote our community, because our community as a whole is not to the same level as the other, as the majority,
And that's the premise of what the lab is, what Black Man Lab is. It's just, the idea is, and today I was doing programming for trying to finish out the rest of the year, what we're going to do because it's tough to come up every Monday. We have to have a different topic, right?
Right.
We alternate professional development with personal development. So I'll do a week of professional, a week of personal development. And so I have to have a panel of experts on whatever, and they're out there. There's people, we know, like I was fortunate that I was able to reach out to you today, because I know of your, what your history has been, what's got you there. We know of people, but it's like, you gotta start thinking, who can I get, especially here in Atlanta, who can I get on the panel live, But the purpose,
I wish I had a little more time, because like I said, my brother has big time me to this point. He followed him, and he'll tell you, he followed my footsteps with a new millennial thought process, which is, he's done emergency medicine also, but he's also done, he also did a public health fellowship, which has led him to, and he has a real fervor for community health, public health. So he's done some public speaking on gun violence and disparities in health, and it's led him, like we said, to the White House, right? So he's a White House fellow this year. His best friend, and the other one, Chris Hicks, who was another young cat that we used to bring up and play on Sundays.
I remember Chris.
He's now done the same thing. So he's a physician. He did a sports medicine fellowship. Now he's a team doctor for the Chicago Sky that just won the WBL, and he's a team doctor for the University of Chicago. So, and this is a perfect example. So when they were in college, now mind you, when they were in high school, I was in residency. They recruited me and grabbed me and said, "You're gonna be the team doctor for the Dolphins," right? So I ended up doing that while I was a resident. It was across the expressway. I took care of them while they were playing high school ball. So he gets to Illinois, mind you, he went to my high school, performed better than me in high school. Went to Illinois, walked on as a basketball player at Illinois, and did well in grades in Illinois. And then I remember talking to him on the phone. And I was like, "So, what you gonna do after college?" And he was like, "Oh, I'm thinking about doing athletic training, right?" And so, and there's nothing wrong with athletic training, but and I said, "Well, why you want to do athletic training?" I said, you know, you see me. I didn't do athletic training. I want to give the orders, not take it.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Well, I don't know. I don't know if I can get into med school. I don't know if I can handle that." And I almost punched him through the phone. And I was like, "What?" I said, "Chris, you went to Whitney Young, right?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "I can tell you right now, you did better than me at Whitney Young." I said, "You at Illinois, right? What's your GPA?" He was like, "Oh, it's a 4." I was like, "That's better than my GPA." So I said, "So what in the world? How do you figure that you can't do what I've been doing?"
Right.
And he was like, "Well, I wasn't sure. I don't know what you was doing, and I don't know anybody else that's been doing it." And that's boom. That hit me like, "Are you out of your mind?"
Right.
Gave him some numbers, put him in a post-bac program. A year later, he's in med school, right? Graduated, he wrote me a long letter of thanks. Basically, he just said, it took somebody, you, to show me this is a possibility. It wasn't like, it wasn't rocket science.
And that's the thing, man. That's the thing with I think our young folks today, more than, I shouldn't just say today, I think it's just our community, is the ability to, number one, see it, right? No, see it and hear it, but then also understand that, a lot like you were talking about how you got into biology and all of that. That was an interest for you, right? Now maybe you didn't know back then that you were going to go on a track of being a doctor, but that could lead to a track to that, right? Where you could see it, because, some kids would say, "I like biology, but I can't be super successful, doing it because."
Correct. You find a path. Somebody shows you how to be successful with it.
Yeah.
And the other thing, though, Marty, is you have to surround yourself with the right people, right? And one of those was, I was surrounded by peers that didn't shame me for liking biology.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They didn't shame you for being smart. Yeah. Right? Now, I was very aware of it. I was like, you can't call me no nerd because I can play ball.
Yeah.
Right. But I knew cats that couldn't play ball, and we included them in the group.
Yeah.
Right. It was, and I don't know if that's was something different. I don't know if it was unique to us, but even if it is, my point is that we need to be inclusive, and our children need to make sure they, pick a good community of friends. To be honest with you, I just pulled my oldest out of one private school because we put her in and thought it was the greatest private school around. Mm-hmm. And we noticed a change in her and checked some of her emails. We was like, "No, you up."
You're like, "Not hard. You out of here."
Right. And when you look at it on papers, it puts the kids in the top Ivy schools, and all the rich kids go there, and I'm out here doing overtime, making sure she's in there. And then we find out real quick, nope, wrong circle of friends. Mm-hmm. Boom, out. And so, I think that's important for us as parents to understand that, what looks good on paper ain't always what it is. A good supporting group of friends can take us a long way. Bad ones can send us down the wrong path. We all know.
Sure.
And I do know some cats that made wrong decisions.
Yeah.
We're lucky we didn't walk with them in those decisions.
Yeah. Mildly and I talk about it all the time. Me, Mildly, Stu, and Carrie, Carrie mm-hmm. Mills. And we talk about how, we grew up in the Manor, and you know the Manor. So, we were fortunate that I think what connected us together was a lot of what you just talked about. First of all, we had all had a love of sports, so we played Little League together, but then, there was Luella Park, the court. We were all drawn to that. But behind that, because there was plenty of us that went through that same track, there were plenty of other guys that played in Southeast Little League and hooped at the court. But I think our family backgrounds were, although a bit different, there was still some similarity. We all came from educators. All of our parents were educators. So there was, whatever you're going to do, you still got to handle your class.
Right.
And so that was just the bottom line, and then so we were just drawn to one another. And, there was a competitiveness amongst us, but at the same time, we also recognized what our environment around us was too, although we were cool with everybody, in our neighborhoods and got, good respect. We also knew, well, we ain't trying to wind up dead, so.
Exactly. It's like, we know y'all and we cool, but we can't do. We gotta go all the way.
We gotta answer to somebody, it was at the end of the day. So, I was gonna ask you now, bro, I never realized you, Garth and Laird all had the same birthday. That's crazy.
They're twins.
I know, but I'm just, right, of course, them. But
so they were my 17th birthday present. Yeah,
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's
so
hilarious.
I was. My mom was up in Northwestern Hospital. She was in there for a month. She had to go in early.
Oh wow.
Right? So I was like, I'm 17, selfish as hell, and I was like, so I ain't getting nothing for my birthday.
And you had been an only child for 17 years. So you were really off the chain up there.
By then I had a sister. I have a sister. She came when they got married. She came. She's 12. I had a baby sister.
Okay.
But they were my 17th. Now, credit to my mom. I walked up in the hospital and I was like, yeah, I know I ain't got no birthday gift. And she was like, there's the two twins, babies, right there. And then she was like, underneath, there's a Marshall Fields basket. You got some.
Wow.
She was on point. She was on point. And I felt terrible.
Hey man, well, I remember you bringing them two jokers to the gym, man. I was like where'd they come from?
Oh, but Marty, it goes back further than that. Dude. I used to get out of practice in high school and be like, I gotta go home and babysit.
Oh wow.
I'm like, man, I can't do practice today. I gotta go home and babysit. And all of my cats at Whitney Young and in high school, they remember them being in strollers, man. They remember Garth and Laird being in strollers when I was, like I said, in high school and college. So, but yeah, I mean, to finish, I don't know to finish up how I am where I am today.
Sure, yeah.
Is basically, in essence. So the picture I painted was I was when I got to Illinois. I was behind. A lot of people know Howard Griffith. He's two-time Super Bowl champ. He was a year ahead of me, so he was my competition. I was always trying to get bigger and stronger to get ahead of him. So my junior year, we ended up starting together. They moved him to tailback, and I played fullback. And so in college, it was the same thing. I was a man who was focused on two things. By that time, I wanted to go to med school, but again, the competition of sport, I wasn't gonna be no sucker and just be there and not play, right? So, and God rest his soul, Mel Agee was there, and I remember in high school, this is my first introduction to Mel. I was at Jeff and Steve's house, right, and I had just started balling out in football, right? I had a game and I had bunch of yards. Mel, they were home from college, right? And I said, and they were like, man, Camino, you getting recruited? And I said, well, I'm thinking about going to Illinois. They put Bob on the phone, right? And and so I said, yo, he was like, all Mel said was, if you could ball, come on down. But if you can't, go somewhere else.
That's classic him. That's classic him.
This was over the phone. I never met him. So So at that point, really, I mean, my path, God put me on my path. My senior year of college, well, I redshirted a year, got my grades high, right? I was on my honor roll in college. By the time I was a senior, by the time I was a junior, I was starting. My senior year, I ended up balling out, leading the team in receptions and yards running. And to my surprise, because I was getting prepared for med school examination, really, in February, I got a letter to go to the NFL draft, right? I was like, what?
Me?
Now, mind you, by this time, I had seen like the guys the year ahead of me, Howard's class, 8 of them had been drafted and went to the pros. Because we ended up with a good team. We won the Big Ten. They were balling. We had Jeff George. So, just like Russell, Maryland, I'm seeing these things come from somebody else to make me think it's a possibility. I just kept working. I got the opportunity. I got drafted. Back then, there were 12 rounds. I get to Miami my rookie year, and I'm trying to cause a ruckus because I'm a 12th round pick, try to get noticed. So what happened that year is I made it through final cuts. They made a couple trades to get some Pro Bowlers, Keith Byers, and a couple other people. So I got cut. Went home, substitute taught, started preparing for the MCAT. December, they called me back. So I went back for another year to Miami, but I had signed up for the MCATs to get in med school, right? Now I'm in practice in camp, right? My mother calls me and was like, your ticket for your entrance exam is at the house. And I was like, Mom, I'm in camp. I'm here. I'm not gonna need to. I'll take that later. She was like, no.
Oh.
So I get to team meetings with the Dolphins. We're about to watch film. And coach calls me out and says, oh, listen, your mom called and they sent this FedEx for you to take the MCATs. And I was like, well, this, it's scheduled for practice. We got practice that day. And he was like, oh, don't worry about it. We'll let you out of practice. And then you got to go speak to the media because we've already told them we got a player here that's about to take the MCAT.
The setup.
My mom sent the shit to the team, to the practice facility. The coach thought it was cool. Here it is. I got an article in the paper about a cat that's leaving practice to take the MCAT. And to be honest with you, I was like, yo, this is going to get me cut. Because now they see a cat that's got something else. Yeah. I'm already, struggling to make the team. They know I got other interests. I'm expendable, right? But surprisingly, I stayed for a while. I did a few weeks from the practice squad, and then I got cut again. I had a meeting with Shula, and he was like, yo, you're right there. But this is a veteran team. I got guys and something about, salary cap and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I got cut again, and but I did well enough on my MCATs that I did well enough on the MCATs where I could get in. So after my second year or third year, I decided, that's it. Now, I ended up going to med school. Now, my first 2 years were a struggle because the past 3 years I was living in Miami. I was 22 years old and had money in my pocket.
So you kind of let your study habits slip. You were studying different.
I was down there thinking I was Tubbs from my. I mean, and so at that point, and it was hard because all my boys were in the league balling out, and here I was back at home living in mom's basement. I was going to med school, going to class every day. money was gone. I wasn't getting paid no more. And then, you know, even my friends that weren't playing ball were out of college with jobs, new cars, living on their own, girlfriends, the whole nine. Now I was back. I was like, man, no money, mom's basement, struggle. But that's kind of, and then, eventually you finish residency, but that's how I ended up here today. So I finished residency. I actually fell in love with sports again after going through withdrawal. I did a sports medicine fellowship. And the funny thing is, my coach from college was a coach for the Giants at the time, about 10 years. So he called me up to do a rotation. And while I was in med school, and by the time I finished, the team doctor for the Giants was retired. And I kept in touch with them. And when I was in the middle of my fellowship, they asked me if I had a job after my fellowship. And I said I hadn't committed to one. And they said, well, what do you think about coming to New York to be the team doctor for the Giants? I was engaged to my wife at the time. She was a lawyer. And so she asked me, she said, well, what kind of opportunity is it? I said, it's the kind of opportunity people don't retire from. They die on that job. To be honest with you, people just don't give up the job. And so her firm moved her out to New York before I told them yes. And that was the last you saw me, Marty. That was the last time.
And then you were dust. It was just poof.
And then I was just coming back to visit everybody at the field. But that's what it was in short, man. Right place, right time, and preparation, meeting opportunity.
That's it, man. We talk about that every week. Preparation, meeting opportunity, man. And great things can happen. And sometimes I think it is, I just turned 54. It took me, probably a good 45 of my years to realize I'm not in control of anything, and I need to really follow what the creator is putting right in front of you a lot of times. I
kind of bypassed the pitfalls that I had through medicine. I kind of, just for time's sake.
Yeah, but they all matter, right? Because they put you in a direction, and
wouldn't be here without those.
Yeah, and when you start letting go and really learning to trust that, you wind up getting to where you're supposed to be, and you being where you're supposed to be, you're really happy in that space. You have a certain sense of satisfaction about yourself, because it's like, one, it took you a minute to get to wherever it is, and you went through whatever you went through, but all those things are what helped you to get to where you're at, And
no doubt. I am a living witness of I didn't finish med school straight in 4 years, right? I took some extra time, and people are looking at me funny, but with that time provided opportunities. And when I was done, they were looking at me funny, like, how do you get there? Right? And I was just like, the toil and the tribulation was the cross that I bared for the opportunities that I have now. I kind of think if I went through easy, my head would been so big, you wouldn't been able to tell me nothing. Right. But God looked and said, with these tribulations, you're going to be humble. And because you are humble, you are going to be more understanding to those that need the most help. And I am that's where I am today. So I'm I have residents, right? And I look keenly for those that need, a certain kind of help. And I'm empathetic to those, while some of those around me that just breeze through have no empathy, right? And that's what they need.
So what are you doing now exactly? Do you have any association with the Giants anymore? With all that? Okay.
So I have 3 girls now. So when I first came, I had no children, and I was full time. I traveled everywhere with them. But after my third, for home preservation, as I could tell by the looks I was getting by my wife, I stopped traveling. So
Gotcha.
I cover their home games and everything emergent. So, in essence, I'm on the 30 or the 20 for every home game. And when some kind of traumatic injury comes about, not the regular sprained ankle or even a broken ankle or ACL, I don't deal with those. It's when they're unconscious or it's their neck or something like that, and they have to be transported.
They need to get to the hospital.
Coordinated. Yeah.
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 Okay.
And I'll back them up for more of the primary care stuff, but there are two of us there now. But mostly I'm there for the catastrophic stuff. And anything but my day to day, I'm in the ER.
Okay.
In a hospital, Hackensack Hospital, which is about 5 miles from the stadium.
Okay.
So, even during practice, when they need to send somebody, they'll give me a call and I'll arrange for them to be seen or in the emergency room. So that's my day-to-day stuff is in the emergency.
That's good stuff, brother. Man, well, we're already pushing our time here. I told you we go for a solid hour, brother. We're already close to being at that time, even though we started a little late, but still. One of the things that we do every week, though, Camino, is that we talk about habits, rituals, and disciplines. The things that you do on a daily basis that get you through your day. And get you through your month, your week, your life. We all have those certain things that we do as habit, rituals, and disciplines every day. And we always ask, what are yours? So hopefully, there's something that you may drop in there that somebody listens to that says, and that's happened for me, where I've heard somebody give one of their habits, rituals, and disciplines. I say, oh, I got to pick that up, and add it to my regime. Mm-hmm. So what are your things that you do, whatever they are, on a daily basis from starting out the day to through it?
Well, I try to reflect, and I try to remember to reflect once a day at least. Quite often at night, but when I work nights, it's just whenever I remember and the urge comes upon me to reflect, because I know, like we talked about, the ups and downs that got me to where I am, and I try to just say thank you. And just give respect to God, which got me through a ton of times when I thought I wouldn't, right? Mm-hmm. Most of the time I try to do that at night. And then the other part for real practical stuff is I try to work out, right? Because, I'm a biscuit away from being, 280, right? And I'd love to be able to run up and down a court. COVID is taking it from me. Sure. But if this was before COVID, Marty, I tell you, I still get my Saturday. Well, it used to be Sundays. I drive to New York.
Really?
I got to run a Saturday morning run. I drive 30 minutes to get in a run from 6:30 to about 9 o'clock. Because my wife is looking for me after that. So about 9 o'clock in the morning, if I can get that run, hoop. And I can't, it ain't no run no more. It's a trot.
It's a one end to the other.
but it gives me, it gives me a good feeling through the week.
Sure. Man, do you know that since I've been down here in Atlanta, I haven't played? Can you believe that?
What happened to run and shoot? They still got run and shoot?
I don't even know if that exists anymore. I don't know. But I haven't played since I got here. But my hip was going bad back at home. So I got to deal with that here in the near future. But so that's what helped to make the decision easy, was that my Sunday run, that recovery of Monday and Tuesday just got to be too much for me. Although I still did. I think the thing is, you look so forward to the camaraderie of it,
It became more social boys meeting.
Yeah. We talk about, the post-hoop fellowship was what it was really about, And but I still, the run still helped me, maintain. But I'm with you on the biscuit situation. So,
so yeah, I turned my garage. My wife really turned my garage into a gym. So now during COVID. So now I'm just on a Peloton. I don't have a Peloton bike. We have the app.
Okay.
So now we just do I just do whatever the app, one of the workouts from the app.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Well, appreciate you, brother. And what we do every week when we end this with how we end our meetings on Monday. And we call it a link in this chain. So are you able to come back on camera?
Well, yeah, I'm looking for hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Because I'm still at work. These cats is calling me.
Gotcha.
There we go.
So what we do is we link arms and then just repeat this every week. So I always ask my guests to do the same thing with. So if we just hold your arms up like we're linking, then just repeat after me. I'm a link in this chain.
I'm a link in this chain.
And it won't break here.
It will not break here.
I'm a link in this chain. Lost you.
There you go. What did you say now?
I'm a link in this chain.
I'm a link in this chain.
And it won't break here.
And it will not break here.
We are links in this chain.
We are links in this chain.
And we won't break here.
And we won't break here.
Ashe. Brother, thank you. Thank you, Camino, man. I appreciate you, bro. And we have to link, man, soon. Thanks for dropping your gems. Appreciate that. And
I hope it helps somebody out there. I thank you for letting me share.
For sure. And if you are down here in the ATL, you got to make sure that you're here over on Monday so we can bring you into the lab, man.
All right.
I'll
make sure of that.
All right, brother. Appreciate you, man. Love you, bro.
All right. Love you too. Be easy.
Okay, be good.